This is the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Pokeball Plus Special Edition bundle. So it comes with the game Let's Go Pikachu and it comes with that Pokeball Plus. Now, I've been very curious about this Pokeball Plus because apparently you can play through the entire game just with that one Pokeball, which is interesting, but it makes me wonder what actually is inside the Pokeball. Now I'm led to believe that there is a Mew inside that Pokeball. At least it gives you a Mew in the game if you buy this Pokeball. I'm also curious if you can get Mew in the game without this Pokeball Plus, but I guess I'll find out when I actually do play the game. For now, though, we're going to open this up and we're going to take a look at this Pokeball Plus and see if we can actually take it apart, because that's something a lot of people have been curious about, myself included. So let's get this guy apart and see what exactly is going on. So I've already cut the tape here, and we can see right away inside we have the Pokeball Plus at the bottom and then the game right here. Not much going on with the game, but the Pokeball Plus is all the way at the bottom here. Let's grab this guy out. And here's our Pokeball Plus. Now, we're gonna go ahead and open this guy up as well. And it does come with a charging cable because it does need to charge through the dock, or I guess just a power brick will work actually, because it's USB Type A to Type C. We also have our instructions here on how to plug it in, I guess. Although it looks like it's actually hidden with a little door right here. So we actually have a door that has to be moved out of the way to then be plugged into the dock, and then I guess it also goes over anything. Although I guess you just sync it up by plugging it in, so I don't even know what, I guess it just tells you how to plug it in. Okay. Then finally, nothing else in the box, we have the Pokeball Plus. And it's actually a lot smaller already looking at it than I thought it was going to be. That is the Pokeball Plus. And let me actually I also brought a Joy-Con controller out because I want to weigh this as well for you so you can see kind of the weight, but kind of look at it next to the Joy-Con. The Joy-Con's already very small. The Pokeball Plus is like tiny. This is much smaller than I thought it would be. It has a very small nub of a joystick on the front right here. It's much smaller. It looks like the travel is also a lot less than what the Joy-Con joystick is. Let's see the weight on this guy. I'm going to a little shipping scale here. And let's take a look at, I guess, the weight of this Pokeball compared to the Joy-Con. So the Joy-Con, this is the right Joy-Con. My left Joy-Con has some vinyl on it, so I don't know how accurate that'll be compared to yours, although you don't really feel the vinyl. 51 grams on the Joy-Con, right Joy-Con, and then the Pokeball Plus is 60 grams. So the Pokeball Plus actually weighs more than the right Joy-Con. This is kind of interesting, right? Actually has some pretty good weight. It's a very solid feeling. Yeah, it's a very solid feeling accessory. It's not like cheap feeling. Like originally I thought this was going to be all plasticky. It has like kind of has like a matte finish almost to it, like a rubberized finish. Maybe just because when you're playing so you can have a better grip on it, but it's very small and you're required, I guess, to be able to move this joystick around. So when I'm kind of looking at this and I guess I'm playing, I guess you can kind of just use your thumb and hold it like this, but it feels like, yeah, there's a button here. Oh, it's glowing. There's a button right here that I guess you have to press, and that's your selection. So I guess you would hold it, if you hold it in your right hand, I guess at that point I have access to the joystick, and then I have the ability to press this button for selections. So I guess that tells you just how many buttons you actually need on this Joy-Con if you can play the entire thing with just this Pokeball. Of course, it's a lot of motion that you use to throw the ball and everything. Again, I need to play it, but that's what we're led to believe. So I'm looking around this ball right now, as you're seeing here, and I'm not seeing any screws. There is, of course, a little door, a false door right here, or door. And, okay, so we have two screws here, and of course they're tri-wing, so naturally I was ready with my tri-wing driver because I know this is Nintendo we're getting into, so what do you figure is going to happen here? We'll get these two screws out real quick, hopefully. And then we can see if anything happens after we get these two tri-wing screws out, because I'm trying to think if there's much else after this, or we have to actually pry the Pokeball Plus apart. Very small screws, as I kind of expect with how small this Pokeball is. Okay, so both the screws are out. They're very small tri-wing screws. And right away, I have actually some spacing here on the back. It is clipped in right here, actually, where you can see it. And that whole back just comes right off. Wow, that was That was very easy, actually. The 2 screws here pretty much just hold that whole backing on through 2 pegs here that kind of sit behind it. That's all that's holding it together, and then it clips on through, it looks like the front, so it's plugged in. That might be, is it the rumble? Get this guy out. So it's plugged in there. I'm not sure how this thing works yet because I haven't used it, but this is plugged in. That could be, I guess that's the rumble at the bottom. We should be looking at it. We'll go a little further in and hopefully be able to identify as much as we can. So that's already pulled into 2 pieces, which is much better than I thought it would be, to be honest. I thought I'd be having to like pry this thing open with plastic spudgers and everything. No, we're already in. So we have more Phillips head screws up here now. Fortunately, we've shifted over to Phillips head, which is good because we were just doing tri-wing, and I don't like tri-wing screws at all. But there is a chipset on the top here that I assume pretty much controls the entire thing. We also see a side B marking on that board as you're seeing in the pictures. So we're basically already looking directly at the motherboard, but we might as well get a little further, see the battery size if we can, especially if it's kind of printed on the battery itself, and then just kind of see where some of these other cables are running too, because there's actually a lot more in here than I thought there would be initially. Now we know it has to track motion, the joystick has to plug in, so a lot of stuff does have to plug in here, but already taking those 3 Phillips head screws out, this board is already pretty much free. We just have to start unplugging some of these small little ribbon cables here, which you gotta be careful with. So let me start unplugging these guys, and we should be able to just start pulling this whole board out. Okay, so we have the whole board out now. We have actually both sides here. Big charge port there, obviously. I mean, it's big comparison to everything else. But let me get you some close-up pictures of this as well. And it's a pretty simplistic board. There's not a ton there. It had to be small because of how small the Pokeball itself is. But there's still actually quite a bit to this thing underneath of this board. There's actually a lot of plastics and actually a lot of space left, which I assume has to be pretty much for the battery, I guess. I guess that's like the last real thing that's left in there. And now, of course, although there's still a lot of plugs going to the top, now, of course, we're back to the old tri-wing, so that's great. Let me break this tri-wing driver out and we'll go a little further. Okay, so 3 more tri-wing screws out, and now this plastic is starting to come up. This is still attached. I can kind of see the battery actually from there, so the strap fell off, great. Let me pull this guy up here. Okay, so that's where the antenna is at the top, and that's where our button is. Cool. Okay, so we have a cable coming from the top and then our antenna cable here, and that's because we have, of course, our button up here that you press, and the antenna is running up here because they've decided to put the antenna at the top, which kind of makes sense. There's nothing but plastic there, and for the most part, you're just going to kind of have your finger there, so it won't really get in the way too much. So that makes sense. Antenna at the top, and then the button, of course. And now we're kind of to this guy where we have our joystick here. Very standard joystick, nothing really too crazy. Kind of, believe it or not, somewhat reminds me of a Vita joystick, I'm gonna be honest. I'm looking at this thing even from the back. The Vita had a very similar ribbon cable and everything that came out of it, very similar travel to it. I specifically remember their joysticks looking very, very similar to this, which is kind of funny. And there's our battery. So that's what our big cable here has been this whole time. The battery is right here. And let's see if we can get a good look at it and kind of come up with just a little more about it and I guess what the size is and everything. Okay, it's a 3.7 volt, 220 milliamp hour battery. It's a very small battery. It is branded Nintendo, but it's not a massive battery or anything, but it should be, for what this is probably doing, which isn't a ton, it has to light up the center light, so it looks like it has 2 LEDs on the motherboard. Other than that, though, the battery isn't going to, I guess, really be used up as much. And that's why they probably are getting away with a 220 milliamp hour battery. Although I don't think the Joy-Con batteries are substantially larger than this one. One other thing I noticed on the motherboard, there is a cable run to here. Again, I don't know, I haven't used this as much yet, but that looks to be either a speaker or a microphone. Again, I'll have to double check, maybe when I actually play it, I'll realize what this is. Kind of on the back right here, there's like a little piece of rubber almost right there. It kind of looks like maybe, I guess, a speaker or a microphone or something. That's my best guess there, but that is actually everything apart now. I'm actually leaving the joystick in there because we can see the entire thing of it there. The battery doesn't really need to come out because we can see everything about the battery. There is the bottom, which actually, now I'm thinking about it, that would be the rumble on the bottom. Yeah, that is the rumble. So there's our rumble there. So I guess the idea of that is that's the bottom. So you're going to kind of hold it, right? I guess you'd be holding it, yeah, you'd kind of hold it like this, right? When you're using it. So I guess that would kind of sit in your palm anyway, so that actually makes a lot of sense why the rumble would be directly on the bottom. That's actually the heaviest part, I would imagine. Yeah, you know what, this actually has some weight. That's probably why it's as heavy as it is. It's because of this bottom half. This is probably like 2/3 of the weight from what I'm feeling right now. But that is actually the entire Pokeball. Right there. There's our board. There's the wrist strap, if you want to use that. That is the entire Pokeball there. It kind of stacks up and unstacks to take apart. And now I have to put it back together. This is a very satisfying click when that goes together. So I put these last 2 screws in, and it is back together and working. Pretty cool. And that is the Pokeball Plus. Now you'll notice I didn't put this strap, the wrist strap, back on because it gets in the way, kind of, to be honest. When I was holding it there, I mean, look how large this is. Look at the strap. I'll live dangerously. It's okay. And I hear there's a Mew in here, so I guess I should actually hook it up and, you know, get Mew out of here, I guess. We'll see. In fact, since I haven't played Pokemon in so long, what I'll do is, I guess I'll judge the last, what's it been, like 20 years of Pokemon since I played it back in like Gold and Silver on this one game. So if that amount of sarcasm doesn't get a like, I don't know what'll get a like out of you. But if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely hit the like button. It does help out. And get subscribed because we got more teardowns coming on different accessories and game consoles. We'll say that coming up soon. And I guess at this point, there's not much left to do than go play Pokemon Let's Go. So thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.